Right, Al, let's talk about pop-ups and bottom baits, because a lot of people get a little bit confused about these, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And you're known as a pop-up man, really, I expect, for
various reasons.
various reasons. Yeah, yeah, which we won't go into.
No, we best not. Have we?
Yeah, no.
So what I was going to say is, where would you use a pop-up, or do you use them all the time? Do you use a snowman setup? Or
Yeah, I'm a bit of a. I vary my approaches for all different reasons, really. I do like a pop-up, but I'm not into sort of blatant anything that's. Well, again, you sort of talk about pop-ups, and do you mean wafters, critically balanced? There's so many different hook baits these days, isn't there? Personally,
right,
for a lot of me English fishing, I fish a little withy pool rig with a pop-up, which basically the hook is, and the pop-up's no more than an inch off the bottom, really. I'm not into a real blatant pop-up unless I'm using something like a chod rig, which I'm sure has been covered already anyhow. But yeah, like a little one. I like a critically balanced bait as well. I just think a hook link and a hook makes a normal bait act differently to your free offering. So I try and get either something that will give me a real good hook hold, or something that will act as near as a free offering as I can. Really, that's around my thinking.
That's exactly
really
how I look at it. Because what I do is, a lot of people always think that I use pop-ups, the fluoros and all the rest of it. But I use wafters that I make myself.
Yeah.
I've used them for donkey's years, and I probably catch about 5 fish on them for every one that I would catch on a pop-up. And what I do, I don't have them so that they're dead critically balanced and sinking slow, because it's almost like, imagine something's in the bath and you're trying to grab it, and it's neutral buoyancy, you can't grab it.
No, it's moving
and
about.
The bait's the same with the rig attached, to a degree. So what I try and do is I have it so it sinks the same speed with the hook and the hook length on it as the free offering. So it does sink fairly quick, and I catch loads more fish like that. But obviously, if you're on weed or thick silt, I vary it. But the other time that I change it is, I remember, I mean, I've referred to this loads of times, but in the early days, I used to keep a diary, and when I was using pop-ups a lot on single hook baits, and I noticed that through all the seasons, on Reedsmere in particular, that if I used them between 6 and 8 inches off the bottom, that's what's catching all my fish on. And if I used them an inch or half an inch, almost like a bottom bait, I wasn't catching hardly anything.
Amazing,
And I've tried revisiting that now, years later, and it just doesn't seem to work.
No,
it was the novelty factor of the pop-ups in the early days when everyone else was on bottom baits. But it does make you wonder whether that's worth trying still now and again. You know, it's almost like a mini zig, isn't it? Really?
It is, exactly. I remember, you know, we used to call it off the lead fishing, didn't you? And you'd have, like you say, 6, 8 inch hook lengths, and they used to catch, you know, particularly where other people were doing just standard bottom baits. And that
you never see it used anymore, apart from Cuttle Mill in Birmingham.
Oh, right,
it catches a lot of fish on there, where you've got a lot of fish in a small space. In the winter, you know, you're getting liners all the time and that, and it works there. But you know, it's an interesting thought. But where would you say you're fishing on the continent? What do you prefer there?
I do. I'll be honest with you. I tend to fish a lot more bottom baits abroad. I don't know quite what my thinking is around there, but again, I don't like these big fish. I think they come into the swim and with their big fins and everything else, and anything that ain't nailed down to the bottom, like
they're suspicious of, aren't they?
It just push it out of the way. You know, I'm imagine them trying to grab hold of something that's going in front of their nose, really. So I tend to fish abroad, I tend to fish more bottom baits, and I think abroad a lot of the lakes haven't got the sort of problems with the weed and that we've got over here, particularly some of the lakes I fish, well, big places that are sandy, you know, so you don't get a lot of weed.
Like Lac-de-Dare was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah, very similar, mate.
I remember when we went on there in the early days, after you sort of discovered it, really, didn't you? Or one of the first. And we went on there, and we tried rods with pop-ups on and stuff, and you just couldn't get a bite. It had to be a big bait on the bottom. You know?
Like 3 18mm baits, which are almost an unnatural sort of thing, really. You wouldn't dream of using. Well, you try and get so preoccupied with finesse over here, don't you, and getting everything just spot on. Yet over abroad, you know, so bottom baits for me abroad, really. So what about you?
Having said that, well, I remember I went on that lake with Johnny and Theo, and I had to do DVD for Gardner. And he set me up there, I thought, because he said that the Belgians, it's their syndicate lake.
Yeah.
They could pre-bait for 3 weeks. They could both use boats and echo sounders. And 4 rods apiece.
Yeah.
I could use 4 rods, but I had to cast from the bank and fish it English style against them in a competition. So I thought, oh, this is going to be tricky. And then I thought back to Reedsmere in the early days, the single up baits. And I thought, every time they go out in a boat, it's human nature to put bottom baits in and fish amongst them like that. And I thought, I bet they've never tried the singles on here, fluoros and that. So I lashed one out, laid the rod on the floor and it went off. The spool was spinning and they went, I lost it in the weed because I needed a boat to get to it, you know. And they said, oh, that's a fluke, that'll never happen again. And then my other rod went. And then I ended up with about 11 or 12 fish. But the interesting thing was, they had records of 108 different fish in their lake that, you know, all the captures through the life. And I caught 7 that they'd never caught before.
Oh, just shows you, doesn't it?
And that approach caught fish that had never been on the bank before.
Amazing.
So I got to name those fish. So at the end of the week, they were just catching bream on the pre-baited spots because they'd overdone it. And they were getting desperate. And old Gardner says to me, will you let them have some runs on your rods? I went, well, heck. I says, you know, I says they can use some rigs and some upbaits. But I've become good mates with them boys, and I left them a load of the fluoros and swafters and pop-ups, and they caught so many fish on them. So it's as well to be versatile and always take a selection with you, you know.
You just got to keep thinking, ain't you? You know, and adapt to whatever, and obviously something like that is brilliant.
Well, that's interesting. So there we are.
Pop-ups and bottom baits.
Yeah, we're not even sure which is the best, but if carry an armoury of them both, you can't go wrong, can you, really?
No.